Jean held George's hand and returned to the VIP room. To her surprise, Fourth Master Swan was inside as well. Everyone was on their feet, showing the utmost respect to the man. Even her father, Alexander, wore a welcoming look. Jean returned to her seat with George. Fourth Master Swan greeted everyone before he turned to Eden and asked, "I heard from your father that you're going to marry Jasmine at the end of this month." "Yeah, Uncle Edward, it's on the 28th of this month." Eden showed respect to the man that he called uncle. Although his uncle was only 4 years older than him, he had to respect the man because Old Master Swan had put the man in charge. Fourth Master Swan was the most powerful figure in the Swan family other than Old Master Swan. "You better treat her well," Fourth Master Swan said. "Don't worry, Uncle Edward. My father has prepared all the necessary things," Eden answered. "Good to know. Thank you, Uncle Edward." Jasmine showed a flattery smile at Fourth Master Swan. Fourth Master Swan nodded. "I was having dinner here and I ran into Thegis outside. I learned that both Alexander and Damien are here, so I thought I'd say hi." Due to the seniority of his position, even though Alexander and Damien were a lot older than the young Fourth Master Swan, he was able to address them by name and talk to them like peers. To Alexander and Damien, they felt honored because Fourth Master Swan called them by name. "I'll leave you guys be. Have fun, I'll be going now." He was here just to say hi to everyone. "We'll see you out," Alexander and Damien said. "It's okay." Fourth Master declined the offer. He then left swiftly. Teddy was confused by his master's action. His master had just come back from a business trip and yet he wanted to come here to have dinner instead of going home to rest. After dinner, he even dropped by the Lawrence family and the Locke family's room just to say hi. Others might not know but he knew his master hated social events like this. Fourth Master Swan got into his car. Teddy was in the passenger seat. The car drove toward the Swan family's private residence. "Teddy," Fourth Master Swan said. "Yes, sir. Run a background check on the Locke family." "The Locke family? Why?" Teddy felt strange because the Swan family had no business relationship or whatsoever connection to the Locke family. "I want to know everything about them, including their dead ancestors and where their tombs are." Teddy wondered what the Locke family did to anger his master. Ellipsis. After Fourth Master Swan left, the room became merrier than before. "Alex, it seems like you're quite close to Fourth Master Swan," Damien flattered. "It's all because of my future son-in-law," Alexander said humbly. With utmost courtesy, Damien turned to Eden and said, "Son, we're going to be family soon. Please look after the Locke family as well." "You're too kind, Uncle Damien. Since we're going to be family soon, we can just put courtesy aside," Eden said politely. To the public, Eden was a handsome guy from a wealthy background, well-educated, and polite. He was the perfect son-in-law to every in-law out there. "I didn't know you were this close to your uncle. He even came here himself just to ask about your wedding." Alexander was impressed by the visit. "Yeah, I'm quite close to my Uncle Edward. I heard he's 29 but he's still single, right?" Jennifer asked. "Well, he has no one around him, so. Is he okay? I mean physically?" Jennifer asked subtly. Everyone was interested in Fourth Master Swan's private life, except for Jean and George, who were busy eating. Eden wore a smile and said, "I don't know anything about my Uncle Edward's private life either. He's 29 and single. He should have been married a while ago," Octavia said sentimentally as she felt bad for the man. Uncle Edward had always been an independent man with a mind of his own. No one knows what he's thinking. If your Uncle Edward continues to be like himself, you'll have to bear the responsibility to take over in the future, Octavia said reverently. "You're right," Damien nodded in agreement. He took the glass of wine and proposed a toast to Alexander. "Alex, don't forget me when that day comes. You're too kind. Besides, my daughter is marrying your son. We're going to be one big family soon." Alexander was in a great mood. The dinner continued in flattery and laughter for the night. Jean ate quietly. It had been a long time since she ate in Southampton. The food here suited her taste. Dinner lasted a little longer than expected. The two families chatted a little more before they finally parted ways for the night. The Locke family was happy with the wedding with the Lawrence family. In high society, the bride and groom's status must be matched, but more importantly, the union between the two families must be able to create more profit for both sides. Before they parted, Damien said to Thegis, "This is your first day meeting Jean. Spend more time with her, take the initiative. When the time comes, the wedding will happen." "I understand," Thegis said reverently. Alexander told the same to Jean. "Go out with Thegis more, get to know each other. Jean simply nodded. She was not that stupid to disgrace her father in such an important meeting. The two families finally left for their respective homes. Jean and George were inside the same car. George asked, "Mom, are you going to marry Thegeslok?" Jean looked at the boy. "What do you think?" "I don't think you will." Jean simply smiled quietly. The car finally reached the Lawrence family's manor. Jean came out with George. She saw Eden at the entrance with Jasmine nowhere to be found. He was waiting for her. Jean calmly walked over with George. Eden asked, "You saw Thegeslok just now. How did you feel about him?" "Nothing in particular," Jean said. "Do you regret what happened 7 years ago?" Eden asked. He sounded like he wanted her to admit that she regretted losing him. "If I say no, will you be pissed?" "Stop acting. You know how important I am to my family and you saw how close I am with my Uncle Edward. If you don't like Theges, beg me and I'll do something about it for the sake of our old relationship." "I'll help you," Eden said with delight. Jean simply grunted. She had no interest to spare another moment to look at the pretentious man. She said, "I think you better keep yourself controlled. Jasmine isn't someone you want to mess with. She can be quite scary when she's mad." Eden reacted bitterly. Ever since Jean came back, she had never properly looked into his eyes. However, it was the cold attitude that made her more charming. She had a sense of femme fatale that she lacked back then, which gave him the urge to conquer her. He did not get her 7 years ago and now, he ought to make her bow before him. Ellipsis. Jean brought George into the living hall. Jasmine and Jennifer were chatting there. Jasmine was excited after what had happened. "Mom, 4th Master Swan came to the dinner just to ask about my wedding. I've always regarded him as someone legendary." "You silly girl, no matter how legendary the man is, he's just a man. When you finally marry Eden, you'll be staying with him and the Swan family, and you'll be able to see him every day. Do you think what Aunt Octavia said is true, that Eden will eventually take over the Swan family?" Jean simply walked past them and she left a subtle scoff before she walked upstairs.